Hi guys, this is Sai Kumar Kortiwada. In this video, we will learn about tap and filter of RxJS operators. This series is not completely focused on RxJS, but there are some operators which are very important in our Angular whenever we are learning about observables and API calls. So in this video, we will target on tap and filter and what is the purpose of using tap and filter. So let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code, and here we need to create an observable. Based on the observable itself, we will be targeting our tap, filter or any other operators. First, I'll show you how we can do it with a normal observables, and then we will be going with a HTTP calls. So in this first one, I'll use something like of observable. So I'm creating an of observable and which is of type observable, and then I'm using a number observable of operator, and let me pass some set of arguments or the values. Let me pass 1, 2, 3, 4, and now let me use a constructor, and inside this constructor I'll subscribe to this observable of observable dot subscribe, and I'll be getting a response. Let me get the response. Let me use console.log of response and save this. Let me go to the browser and let me go into an inspect and go into console. So let me refresh this, and now you get 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me zoom it a bit, and here also. Yep. So now we got 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these are the values which are emitted by that observable. And now let me go here. So if you want to use some set of operators, then we have to use a pipe method which is provided by the observable. So let me use dot and pipe. This pipe can receive n number of operators. So already I have explained what exactly the pipe is in my previous video. So now inside this pipe we will be using a chaining mechanisms or chaining of methods or operators. So first operator I want to explain you is a tap operator. So let me use this tap operator, and inside this tap operator it's a callback function. So what we can do is there are 3 cases which can be handled in this tap operator. One is whenever you want to console or whenever you want to showcase some content in your consoles, then you can use this tap. That is nothing but logging purpose. So let me import this tap from our RxJS. It is not showing as of now. So what I'll do is I'll just import manually from our RxJS / operators. So I have something called as operators, which is a folder inside our RxJS, and I can use a tap from this. So let me save this. Now this tap will receive the value what it is provided from that observable. For example, here in this case I can get something called as value, and the value is of number, and just I'll use this for logging purpose, console.log of value, and save this. Let me zoom a bit. Yep. So now this tap is used for logging purpose, and I'll show you some other purposes of this tap as well. So let me go back and clear this off. Let me write something called as logging and save this. So you can see logging 1 and it came to subscribe, and then logging 2 it came to subscribe, and logging 3 it came to subscribe. Now even this value or this operator also helps to catch some set of values. For example, I have a let keyword where I want to store some set of value. For example, I want to show something like is even is equal to false. So I'm storing like this. Now what I want to do is I want to update this even for every observable or every subscription. So here what I'll do is even I'll update with the value whatever I am getting, value modulus 2 equal to 0. So whenever my value is divisible by 2, then is even should be printed as true. So in this case let me print that. So what I'll do is I'll also print console.log of is even and save this. So this is something like caching the value. So I am doing some set of operation and I am storing that value for each and every observable. So let me go here and clear this off, reload. When the logging value is 1, you got a false, and when the logging 2, you got true. Why? Because 2 is divisible by 2, 3 is not divisible by 2, that's why you got false, and 4 is divisible by 2, hence you got true. So that means you can cache some set of values. And next thing is you can do some set of asynchronous calls. For example, what I'll do is inside this, I'll just go here and inject our HTTP service. So let me go here and inject HTTP client. We are not getting that value. Why? Because I have to import in our app modules. So let me go here and import HTTP client module, and you are not getting any intelligence. Let me use an import with @angular/common/http, and this will contain that particular module. So let me go here and give HTTP client module and copy this, put it over here. Now we have the access to our HTTP client. Let me go to the TS and use HTTP client and save this. Now for each and every value, I want to call an API, get the value from that. So that is nothing but an asynchronous content. So let me use this .http.get of, let me get some set of value from here. So let me go here and JSON placeholder API. So let me go inside this and get one fake API. This is my fake API. Copy this and go here, just put it over here, and I want to pass the value which I am getting from this. So let me save this. Now, so what we are doing, just we are hitting an asynchronous call and we are subscribing to our event number. This is not required. Let me remove the event number and save this. This time the tap is used to call the asynchronous data. So let me go here and go to Angular tutorial output and go to the network. Let me clean this off, fetch, and let me reload. So now if you see, the network call has not been triggered. Why? Because this is an observable, so you have to subscribe to it manually. So like I can use subscribe and you will be getting a result here itself, console.log of result, and save this. Go here and you can see 1 API call, 2 API call, 3 API call and 4 API call, and they got subscribed and you got the values over here. So you got the line number 20. In line number 20 we got that value. Now if I return this response, okay, that is not possible from the tap operator. Tap operator will not return any value and will not be captured to the next operators. For example, I am using a return over here and save this, return and save this. Now go back. If you see the value over here, you got the same stuff, 1 2 3 4, whatever the consoles you have, and you got 1 2 3 4. These 1 2 3 4 are observables, not the values of HTTP API call. HTTP API call console is printing over here, but actual subscription is not returning this observable. Instead it is returning only this value. Tap operator, whatever you are returning, it will be ignored, and actual observable, whatever you are returning, then that particular response will be available in your subscription, and these values will never be passed to the next operator also. For example, in this case, let me use one more operator called as filter. So filter operator mainly used for decision making. For example, this filter operator is always expected to return a value either true or false. So if you return the true value, then it will continue for the next operators and go to the subscription. If you are returning false, it will stop executing. For example, in this case, I can receive some value here also. So let me show you what that value is, and I feel like it will be number. Why? Because whatever we are returning from the tab, that value will not be passed here. I'll show you that with an example. Now, if tab is returning the response, then we have to get the API response in this filter, but we will not get that API response. Instead, we will be getting our value, and let me return this as true by default and save this. Now go here, clear this off, and let me write something like filter operator and save this. Go here, you can see filter operator 1, you are getting 1 2 3, but not the response which is returned from tab. So by this, what we understand is tab is used to perform an asynchronous data, but that asynchronous data should be an independent data. It should not be dependent on any other operators. So if you want to call an API independent of this subscription, then you can do this tap approach. But tap is always not recommended to do some set of asynchronous operations. It is mainly used for caching and it is mainly used for console purpose. But whenever you are doing an asynchronous data, you should be very conscious whenever we are using a tap operator for calling HTTP calls. So this may be behaving in a different manner and it may be giving a problem. To avoid this problem, we came up with some other operators like switch map, merge map, concat map. All these maps we will be discussing in the upcoming video. So for now, tap is used for three purposes. One is to cache the value, that means to store that value in some other variables. And the second thing is it can be used for logging purpose. Third is asynchronous data, but not much recommended whenever you are handling asynchronous data. Now let me go here. What I'll do is I'll combine these two and make a decision for getting that filter value. So let me go here, and here you are getting a value. So now what I'll do is I'll check whether this is an even or not. So let me go with is even, and that is equivalent to false by default. And I'll update this even value is equal to when my value is divisible by 2 and equivalent to 0. Then that is even will be getting updated. Now I have cached this value. Now this is even I can pass here. So based on the top tap value, what that filter will return is it will return true or false. In our case, first value is 1, hence it is not divisible by 2, so it should not come into the subscription, and it should return false from the filter. That means for the value of 1, it should execute only till filter. It should not execute the subscription. And if you have 3, then that is also not divisible. Hence that should also print only till filter. If you consider 2 and 4, they are divisible by 2, hence they should come into the subscription part. Let me go here. You can see here filter operator 1, but it didn't came into the subscription. Filter operator 2, it came to the subscription. For our understanding, let me make one statement over here that is nothing but subscribe. So let me save this. It will show the console of the filter. It will show the console of the subscribe. Let me go here, clear this off and reload. Now filter operator 1, it is not divisible, hence it didn't came to the subscription. It came to the subscription because 2 is divisible by 2, 3 is not divisible, 4 is divisible, hence it came to subscription. That means whenever you are using a filter, if the filter is returning false, it will not go further and it will not implement or execute the further logics. For example, let me go with map as well. So what I'll do is I'll use a map operator. Here I'm combining 3 set of operators: tap, filter and map. So whatever you are getting from the filter, so you will be getting a filter value and that is a number value, but you will be getting only 2 and 4 because that are the divisible by 2. They are the values which are divisible by 2, and hence you will be returning value into 5. So what I am doing, whatever the values you have which are divisible and the filter is returning true, for that value I am multiplying with 5. So let me console here, console.log of value, and save this. So for our understanding, let me make it as filter value, because whatever it is returning, that will be captured over here. Let me copy this and paste here and paste here. So it has to be multiplied by 5. So our subscription value should be 2 into 5, 10, 4 into 5, 20. So let me go here. You can see subscription value as 10 and subscription value as 20. So why it is 10 and 20? 2 into 5, 10 and 4 into 5, 20. So that's how you got that values, and remaining 2 values, that is 1 and 3, are skipped because that filter is not allowing you to go further. So this is nothing but chaining of operators. So that is the very this is one of the biggest advantage of using an observable compared to promises. In promises, if you want to do any operation, only after then you can do that particular operations. But here, before coming into the subscription itself, you can do all your logics and get only the required results into our subscription logic. So that's how we can combine n number of operators. That is how we will be using our filter and tap. Now I'll show you the same example by using HTTP call. So instead of using this of observable, this is an hard-coded observable. So what I'll do is I'll just comment this, and now what I'll do, I'll use this .http.get call and I will pass a URL. So let me go here, copy this URL with /todos, and you will be getting all this list. Let me copy this and put it over here. So what will happen is it will call the API and you will be getting a value, but this value is an object. So let me use any, and is even. So what I'll do is, instead of is even, I'll use is value to exist. That means if I have that ID with 2, then only I want to update and go further. For example, you will be getting all the values. That means all the list. So let me mark it as list. Okay. And this list is an array, whatever you are getting here. And so whenever this list contains the ID as 2, then I have to return that value. So in that case, what I'll do is I'll use is value to exist is equal to list dot find index of, I can use find index of obj implies obj dot id, which is equivalent to 2 and not equal to -1. So what I'm doing, I'm just finding the index, and if the index exists, then I'm returning true value. So I'm using any over here. So is value to exist. Let me copy this and put it over here, and let me remove this console and remove this console. Now your filtered value will be an object, because you are getting a list, and inside that list you are catching that particular value exist or not, and you are returning true or false. In this case, you will be getting all the list back to your map. If this value exists, then you need to get that particular result. So let me go here and clean this off, reload. So now you got 200 records, but why you are getting 200 is your list contains this ID with 2. For example, I am changing this to -1. Okay, so ID does not exist, and hence it will not come to the subscription. Let me see here, reload, and you didn't got any response. Why you didn't got any response? Because this value is making it as false. Hence that false value is returned from the filter. If the filter is returning false value, you will not go into the subscription or further logic. And here, to make it very simple, even we can avoid using of tap. Why? Because we are creating a variable. I don't want to create this variable. I don't want to create the tap. Instead, what I can do is I can just write my list, and this list will be any, and now I'll just store this index value. Index is equal to list dot find index of, I'll be getting that object inside this, and I will make it as any. So obj.id, if this id is equivalent to 2, then I need to return this index, but the index value should be checked with index not equal to -1. So if it is not equal to -1, then I have to go into the result part. Clear this off, reload, and you can see once this value is returned with -1, that means id exists, hence this value is true, hence it came into the subscription part. For example, if you give -1, that is not existing value. So the ID with -1 does not exist in this list, hence you will be returning false, so it will not go into the subscription part. Let me clear this off, reload. If you see the network, it called the API, but it didn't went into the subscription part. That is about your filter. So whenever you want to check some condition and check based on that condition, if you want to go further and execute the logic, then you can use filter. And whenever you want to use a tab, you should be very careful whenever you are using asynchronous data. So to handle that asynchronous data or to handle inner observables, we will be going with some set of operators like switch map, merge map, and concat map. I'll discuss all these 3 operators in the upcoming video. Hope you like my explanation. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.